Friday morning, July 26, 2019, Calvin Castine on the outskirts of Ingraham on Route 9 here in the town of Chazy. It's the townwide garage sale this coming weekend, and of course the Old Home Day celebration by the Lions Club. There's a garage sale here at this spot here on Route 9. And I'm guessing that what we're going to be looking at is not part of the garage sale. If you saw our video back in 1992, which was 27 years ago, Bob Venn and I stopped in here and did a story on Tony and Marsha's John Deere tractor collection, and by golly, it has grown. And it's not often that they put everything out on display, but they're doing it here this summer, and we wanted to take advantage of this and stop in and take a look. Looking at the I'm guessing industrial models here, the yellow ones, and there's a collection of them here. I doubt if all these have dates on them. There'd be a heck of a lot of work to put literature out here, but this here is an MI. I'm not sure what this one here is. There's a 440, a 1010 coming up here. It's got a hay mower on the side of it. This is how we used to mow hay, folks. Wasn't always those big contraptions, one swath at a time. Don't see a number on this one, and we don't see a number on this one. At the top of the hill we see a few more yellow ones, and then we're going to hopefully wander down and look at the greens. But before we do that, we're going to get permission from the folks here. Okay, I don't usually see big beams at a garage sale.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're here with Marsha Trombly, and Bob Venn and I were here, and I'm guessing 92. She thinks 1990. But
90 and 92, I think.
Came back? Okay.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah. And was that little girl here too at that time? That's
oh,
that's
Jessie,
garage?
yeah. That's our second daughter. Second child, I should say.
Was she here at, you had 04 at that time, right?
Yes, in 1992, she would have been 7. Or 6, turning 7, because her birthday's in November. So she was 6. Yeah.
All right, we're talking here with Marsha Trombly.
Hi.
And who's that lady up there with the back to us here? What's her name?
That's my mother, Patricia Stunzy. Yep.
What?
My mom's here. So they're Patricia Stunzy.
Okay, it sounded like Tricia. I said, wait a minute. That's Pat.
Yeah, it's Pat Stunzy, right. Right. So we got 4 generations. My mom, myself, my daughter, and my granddaughters are all here. Yeah.
So it's been a while since you've taken everything out.
It has.
What did it take you? Maybe a couple hours to do this?
Oh my gosh, Tony kept asking me over and over and over, can you help me move tractors? My son helped too, Adrian. So I don't know, probably took a week. There's 100 out there.
100 right here, besides the yellow ones behind us here.
Yes, those are industrial. Some people are asking me why they're painted yellow, because those are industrial models.
Right.
You know, the old 2 cylinders to the 10 series and the 20 series, which is called the new generation. So, yeah.
Now we have to point out this is not just Tony's collection, it's Tony and Marsha's collection, isn't that right?
Yes, there's some I have to buy too. It got to be a sickness, of course. When you have some, you need to fill in all the gaps. And
well, yes.
So then that's when it turns into it's a sickness. Then you get all the 2 cylinders, which just this year we can finally say we have every single 2-cylinder tractor. So our oldest one is a 1927D. Wow. And then it comes up to the 1960. They did the new generation tractors, which is the 10 series.
So that's your cutoff around 1960?
No, we have the 10 series, and now he's getting into the 20 series also. We have the snowmobiles, probably like 40 of the John Deere snowmobiles.
John Deere snowmobile.
We have some lawnmowers, and as you can see, the crawlers. The crawlers, we did get a B.O. Lindemann, which is the first one, which is kind of scarce. So we have all the crawlers now too. So. Yeah.
But I would call a Caterpillar, but obviously a Caterpillar is a brand name.
Yeah.
So
No, these are John Deere crawlers.
John Deere
Yes.
crawlers.
Yeah.
They may look like a Caterpillar, but they're not.
Yes. VO Lindemann and MC, which is
Right.
M crawler.
Right.
You know, and it just keeps going up the line.
Well,
So they started with lettered series, and then they went to numbers, and then, of course, they retained the numbers throughout John Deere's history, I would say.
so is it chronological?
No, I'm not sure what kind of a mess of a way he put them out here. Sorry, Tony. They're not big to little. They're kind of started. This is an MC turned into a 40, which turned into a 420, which turned into a 430, and then I think he did that with the rest of the models. I see some AR, AO. Then he went to the 40, 50, 60, 70, and then it goes to the 20 series, the 30 series. Those are all 2 cylinders. And then down at the very end is some of the new generation I was talking about, like a 3010, 4010, stuff like that, and then the 20 series. So it'd be like a 3020 and a 4020, and all the way to a 7020 on the end, which is John Deere's first articulated tractor. That's a 7020.
Back probably a year or so after we did the story with you, we went to Finney's Sports, and Gary Finney had those old John Deere days photos, and your father-in-law, Lyle Trombly, and my father, and Bob Venn,
Really?
and Gary Finney reminisced.
Oh, nice.
And when we left there, we stopped in here, and I wanted my father to look at a John Deere B that was sitting out here. And sure enough, it was his first tractor that he ever owned. So even though you guys don't sell tractors,
We do not sell them, but you got that one back gladly, yes.
with the stipulation that if it ever left the family, you guys would get first choice to get it back.
So that's probably the only way that it would ever work, that he would ever sell one, you know, and that's understandable. Yeah.
So let the record show that there is a John Deere sitting in my yard that
Came from here.
would have been part of this collection. You would have had 101 out there.
Yes, we do not. Well, we have 123 total.
Right.
There's 100 in that line. We do not sell them. It's just, I don't know what our 4 kids are going to do. Someday we have one son that just really does love them, and he actually buys some. Actually, we're claiming them in our collection. They're Adrian's.
Okay.
Our son Adrian works at the John Deere dealer down the road, and
Okay.
he actually owns a few of these that are his. So we should say that.
Well, you better stipulate in your will who gets what.
Yeah, I
because-
know. Oh no. My kids are used to growing up.
No, these
Growing
are
up
not
with
your,
these tractors.
These are not your kids here, though.
These are my granddaughters. Yeah, this
Granddaughters.
is Kinsey and Jalen. Yep.
Hi, girls.
Yep. Yes.
Do you know what color John Deere's are?
Green and yellow.
Green
So
and
this
yellow.
little girl is 5 years old, and she can drive an MC crawler. She drove it all around here, turned around and went back the other way.
With a car seat on. Oh.
No, she can drive an MC crawler. So
Well,
yep.
Congratulations.
Yep, Papa taught her.
I've never driven an MC crawler. Look out there. Don't chase that balloon across the road.
Yeah, let it go, Jalen. Kinsey, go get it for her. Thank you.
Look at the
That's
volunteers.
the oldest granddaughter right there. Yeah, they're here.
Whoop.
Oh, there.
The
Fun
balloon
times,
pops.
yeah, fun times. So, yep, you're welcome. Anybody's always welcome to stop by and look at the tractors. I mean, we can't put them out there and not expect people to stop. So,
People
anybody
can stop by and
yes, anybody can stop by. If we're around, we could answer questions gladly. Just knock on the door. Or if you want to see a certain tractor, I've brought people down and showed them one they used to own.
Okay.
You know, we've done that before too. And we've had buses here, like 2 busloads of people.
Tour buses.
Yeah, so-
You're on the route.
So you can't do this and not expect that, you know. So
Yes.
anybody's welcome to come see.
Okay. So how late in the year do you expect you'll be doing
They're
this?
usually out in the fall. I guess you could say maybe until I can't. Tony, I'm not going to put him away. It's too cold out. So he's got to do it before it gets really cold, or else he's not going to have wife's help. So, and we did quite a bit of them. So, and we do use a 10-foot stick. I have to move the stick every time we move one. They have to be spaced 10 foot so they're all spaced properly. I mean, it's quite a chore.
Doesn't just automatically happen.
It's quite a chore. Yeah.
Well, if people want to volunteer in the future to come help you, you
yeah.
won't turn down volunteers.
Yes, that's for sure.
You've already got one here that can move move one of them.
Eventually they will, poor kids. So, actually, Karina did help move some. Our oldest granddaughter. I should give her credit for that. She did pull some out with her papa.
And
Yeah.
where do you store all these?
Well, we have a lot of barns. There's a barn parallel to our main milking barn right here. where we used to milk cows, and there's some down in the woods, and there's a big shed behind back here behind. So if there's a narrow front end, you can always drive one and then drive one this way, and you can stack them in, so you can get them pretty tight.
Yeah.
And we do that. It takes time to put them all in tight, and they are put away like that.
Because you can't put them on one on top of the other.
Yes, they do all get put away. Yep.
Wow.
And he likes to build on to barns, another lean-to, and he's actually doing that.
And he's selling these beams? You ought to use those, put those to use.
Yes, those are nice. Yeah, those are nice for in somebody's house, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate this.
Yep.
I'll take the tour.
Thank you for stopping.
All right, I'll be here for a while, I think.
Yes, I bet you will.
Thanks, Marsha.
Yep.
Don't pop that balloon.
She's gonna.
Obviously, with an attempt to cover something like this, there will be some bouncing of the camera as we move from one to the other. We apologize for that. We'll try to take our time and let each piece get on here, but with 123 of these vehicles to show, if we devoted a minute to each, that'd be 2 hours of video. Here's a 1010, another 1010, and again, these kind of like the Kleenex we use. Kleenex is a brand name, so sometimes when you're using a facial tissue, it's not a Kleenex. And although these look like caterpillars, it's that same type of concept of what we consider a caterpillar. These are John Deere, and they're called crawlers. So, and they have more tractors than our friend Leeward Babby and both of his sons combined. I hope Leeward sends people down here when they're visiting his spot. And I hope people here who are interested in this go to Leeward's Museum on the River Road in Peru. Rural and Farm Learning Museum. This is not a crawler here, but it's an industrial model. That's why it's painted yellow. This one is parked with the industrial models, but it's the traditional green. It's got a chain, so he's ready to pull something with it. And back here there are two more industrial models. And these have buckets on them. This one has a backhoe in addition to the bucket in the front. It's a John Deere 410D. 410D, and I think that's the first one we've seen with a cab. Yes. So now we're going to go down this row, and I don't think we'll see too many cabs in that row either. 100 tractors here on Route 9, on just about the edge of Chazy, where Chazy and Beekmantown meet. And the community over to the right used to be called Ingraham, and still is, but it used to be a little bit more of a community half a decade ago and beyond. You can just imagine the effort that goes into moving all these. And as Marsha said, every 10 feet there's another one, so they know beforehand how many they can stick out here. Here's a John Deere B. This is the narrow front, kind of like a tricycle type front. This is older than my father's model, I would think, because it has the metal seat. And my father's model has a different type of seat, or cushion type of seat, and pretty sure the battery is underneath the seat. I should know. I should I should know for sure, but I'm 99% sure that it is. Like I said, it's sitting in my yard. Now I have a 620. This has got the wide wheels, much safer than the narrow-wheeled front. The tricycle front, not as safe as the wide wheels. So a lot of people ended up adapting their tractors that had this type of a situation and putting on wide wheels like this for safety purposes. I'm guessing this is a diesel. There's that little tank on top of there. Here's a 1936. This one has it painted on, so we know what year it is. Got the spoked wheels. Look at the rubber. Imagine the cost just in rubber to outfit 100 tractors. The tires are in great shape. Again, he's got the metal seat. And it's a Model A, John Deere A, which was just a size bigger than the B's. There's a little crawler. And it's a small one, but I'm sure it's got lots of power. Again, we're trying to move as slowly and smoothly as we can, but it's a challenge. The camera does like to bounce. There's a track. All metal track. I imagine that's the challenge to keep that in working order. There's one with a yellow track on the sides. Doesn't say what model it is. Looks like it's freshly painted. Obviously a labor of love when you gather a collection like this, and it's always especially nice if both spouses are into it, and that certainly is the case here. And as she said, their kids too. Now the grandkids. That's a little bit closer to what the seat in my father's John Deere looked like. There's one that's not painted yet. A little rusty around here. Got a blade in the front. Two lights up on the top. Look like they might have been added. I'm not sure if that was part of the original package or not. We got one more crawler after this one. This is yellow, so it might be an industrial model. If we had Tony or Marsha with us, they could probably give us a description of each one of these. A fine line description. We'll point out several times that Marsha did say that if you're driving by and you want to stop and get out of the car and take a look, you can. Obviously, these aren't toys, so don't let your youngsters crawl all over them. Easy to fall and get hurt on something like this, so keep the youngsters close to you. And now we're moving into the tractors away from the crawlers. This one's got a one furrow plow behind it. And you get rid of the horse or the donkey and moved up into the tractor world. That horse or donkey was pulling a one furrow plow. And if you got that out of a tractor, that was all you could expect at that time. This is a John Deere L model. Kind of a smaller size tractor. Here's the steering wheel. That lever there is for lifting the plow. Looks like brand new tires here. Even got the label still on them. So they haven't put on too many miles on this one since they put the tire on. I think it's the only new tire. I think the other tire looks kind of old. Seat's a little crooked here. This one again has a lot of rust, but obviously they're able to move all these. Not sure if they have to tow some or if they all are self-propelled. That's a little toolbox there on the side. This tire, I'll have to pump that one up before they bring it in this fall. And now we've got another older one. This has got a mower underneath it, little mowing deck. Maybe they mow their lawns with this one. The seat cushion is missing. And the corn is doing quite well here. That's as good a crop of corn as we've seen this year. Another one with wide wheels here. They keep the tin can over the exhaust to keep the rain out. The exhaust is up there, so it keeps the rain out. A lot of them had little covers that would go up and down when you started it up. It would go up, and then when you shut the tractor off, the cover would fall down. But even if you start off with one of those, eventually the cover might work its way loose. There's the radiator cover here, and gas cover over on the other side. And if you forget to take that little can off, it'll pop off when you start the tractor. It'll go flying into the air. Here's a 320. Again, Marsha said there's no chronological order to them. They put them away and store them, and whatever is the best way to get them out is what they get. John Deere 320. And here's a 330. We realize this won't be a program that everyone will watch all the way through. But for historic purposes, for collectors, we think this is an interesting little setup here. Or an interesting big setup, I should say. Another 320. If I know Tony and Marsha, it's got to be something, yeah, it's definitely different year than the other 320 that we just saw. I don't think they have room for many duplicates. You're trying to get one of each. You You can't necessarily get too many duplicates. You might definitely have the same model, but different years. Don't have a number on this one. The driver's seat has seen better days. Better be wearing a thick pair of jeans overalls when you're driving there. Better have some padding on your overalls, because liable to get a spring coming through. This one here looks like they got a dead animal and put it on top of the seat there. Some kind of a furry seat cushion. Made in USA, it says. Again, next year, if they decide to do this again, it's been several years, I think, since they've taken them all out like this. I'm sure they'd look for any volunteers. Maybe folks from the Antique Gas Engine Club will have the plow day in this area on the Trombly farm every year. Maybe they could come out and lend them a hand. There's a John Deere MT. Again, we have a new tire with the label still on it. This is the, nobody's sitting on that that's the look, or the farm boy with the girlfriend sitting on the side of the car, on the side of the tractor seat. This one's got room for dual tires. Another MT. It says 371 on the front. Not sure the significance of that. MT model 371. This one has a yellow seat. John Deere yellow. Oh, I got a battery that's about to die. Hopefully I'll have enough. I brought one spare battery. Hopefully it'll be enough to get us through this. Our new battery says 118 minutes, which is just shy of 2 hours. So if that doesn't do the job, we're in trouble. Here's what we've got so far. And we're continuing. Again, this is July 26, 2019. So if you're watching this in the summer or early fall of 2019, this exhibit should still be here. Just mowing around all this. What an effort. What an effort to keep all this mowed here around this tractor display. There's a 40. Getting into some tractors now with big, wider tires. And here's a little bit bigger version of the seat that's on my father's John Deere. If you're watching this on the internet, I believe the program we did, that Bob Venn and I did with Gary Finney, Lyles Trombly, my father Carl Castine, so Bob Venn, Gary Finney, Lyles, and my father all attended John Deere's. Gary had an extensive collection of photos, and he showed us all of them, and a lot of people were recognized in those photos. In the late 40s and early 50s, John Deere Days used to be a holiday with W.W. Finney kids would, myself included, would take the day off from school to go and take part in the festivities. So there's pictures of me and my brother Sam, along with my mother Carol and my father Carl, and a whole lot of other people. So that's on our website. So go to hometowncablenetwork.com and check that out. I'm not sure what they've got going on underneath here. That might be for one of those mowers like we saw, mowing deck. This one here is looks like it's offset slightly. Looks like it's set offset just a bit. It's a 40V, and we've also got on there the initial video that we did with Tony and Marsha, and there weren't as many tractors as this out here at that time. That was 27 years ago, so they've added on, and their 4 kids were crawling all over the tractors, and it was a day at the park for them. John Deere 30, power steering, it says. Power steering. Something we kind of take for granted these days, but as with cars, it's the same way with tractors. They didn't always have power steering. This one has a narrow wheels, narrow tires in the front, as does this next one, another 430. Obviously a different year. Uh-oh, it's got a red gas cap on it. And yet another 430 model, John Deere model 430, with the power steering notice on the side. And here's a 435 diesel. It's got the room for another tire on there, barely. And not sure what color those are. That's not John Deere green. When I was growing up, there were 3 well-known greens in the North Country. I don't mean the green family. You had John Deere green. You had Minor Farm green. There were buildings. When you saw their buildings at that green color, you knew that was a Minor Farm building. And in Champlain, we had Sheridan green, Sheridan Iron Works. They had a green color that they called Sheridan green. A lot of these here are cast right into the part here, so that's not painted. It's painted, but it's also casted on there. And this has got to be an older model. Look at the front tires there, the iron spokes. Got the metal seat. Another one with iron spokes in the front. Nice, more comfortable metal seat here. If you're going to sit in a metal seat, that's a much more comfortable one. Again, the John Deere is cast right into that part. There's a 1938 John Deere. Memory serves me right, John Deere started off as a plow manufacturer in the 1800s and then moved into the tractor business as tractors came into existence. Not only metal spokes, you got metal wheels here, no tires on here, no rubber tires on this one. It's a GPO. Plenty of room for the girlfriend to sit though. This one we're going to go to the back because that steering wheel comes quite a ways back and we can see where the driver sat here. This was the driver's view of this one. That little seat would bounce up and down, I'm sure. So you can't take this one out on the highway without causing some damage to the road. So you got to move it from field to field. 1928, wow. I would not have guessed this one to be that old a model. But it says right there, 1928. And it's a GP, General Purpose, says. General Purpose tractor. I'm sure for its time this was top of the line right here. 1928. Another one that's a little rust challenged. It's got the metal spokes in the back, all painted up. Our front one on this side is not painted up. Front one on this side is. So when you buy one of these, they don't necessarily come with all the parts. So in addition to the vehicles themselves, you got to be on the lookout for parts to get them operable, or at least movable. 1932. And this would have a similar type of view from behind. Maybe we'll take a look at this one from behind also, because it's a little bit higher tractor than the previous one we saw. Give you the driver's view. Two exhausts, so I don't know if it had gas and diesel both as options. Not sure. I'm speculating yes, but it's just purely speculation. We got a 1932, and since we're behind, we're going to stay behind for a moment for this one here. Another one with a driver's view. Chances are they had something turning right there that's why that shield is there. (1930) model. And this is the exhaust. Looks like it's an add-on. Whoever did it has lots of holes in it, and it keeps, I'm sure, most of the rain out. But you can imagine farmers out in their field for hours at a time either plowing or planting or cutting hay or picking up hay, and you're driving right into that exhaust that comes out right in your face. So it certainly had to be a health hazard for farmers in that era when the exhaust was on the front of the tractor. Another old one here, completely rusty, but things like this also have their character. They don't have to be all painted up to look nice. Another one you're not going to take down the highway. So if you do come, bring your camera. You're going to want to take lots of photos. Look at this one. They look like they've taken the spikes out here. It would probably not have much pull. That smooth surface, but you stick the spikes in there or whatever they're called, and I'll give you all the traction you want. This is a work in progress, I'm guessing. So whether I don't think this one moves under its own power. I'm guessing it doesn't. I've got short. Let's show. Surrounding, you know, they have to maneuver that tire on. And I don't imagine it's wait, bolted? Looks like they do. Yes, they do. They have it bolted to the wheel. I'm hoping we can see that in the camera. So it's bolted to the wheel to get that tire on there, or what used to be a tire, a chopped up tire, and then they bolt it to the wheel. The rivets there. Collection and from all parts of the country. So we have to put on some mileage to gather up this stuff. Metal seat. We're trying to show these as much as we can. I'm sure there's some of these that people would like to look at a little longer, but we will. The 1937. Nice paint job on it. I don't think you'd want to go out in the mud with this. It's very narrow. Another general purpose one. But I wouldn't take it out on a muddy day and try to pull too much with this one. Or this one. Another general purpose. This one's a little bit bigger wheel here, a little bit bigger rim. It displaces a little more than the other one. It's a little bit bigger model. There's another A. We have been a while since we've seen a Model A. Not to be confused with the Ford Model A. This is a John Deere A. Again, it was slightly bigger than the B. Remember, Lester Ashline had an A. (1935). And this is a nice big model here. Looks very powerful. So we'll go behind and give you the driver's eye view here. Nicely painted wheels here, the yellow. Excellent shape. Again, these are not for sale. This is their collection. And when you have a proud collection like this, every once in a while you like to get it out so you can see it, and when they do that, they're getting into a situation where other folks can see it too. (1939) here. Got the cultivators on. That would cultivate the corn. You would drive over it, have your corn row right there, and those blades would go between the rows and turn up any weeds that might be growing. It's an H. Complete with cultivators. I'm guessing this might be a B, but I don't know that. The yellow deer is not part of the original tractor. The tractor did not come with that yellow deer. They call this John Deere Hill here. This is an H. So that's an H. This could have been an H too. That's an H there. So maybe this is an H. This one is. Another rusty one. Like this one still has some of the barn cobwebs on it. Partially painted. I'm guessing the painted parts are the replacement parts. Although yeah, that's my guess based on the condition of the main tractor here. Temperature in the low 80s on this. It's noon right now. Friday the 26th of July. There's a John Deere B. We're at Tony and Marsha Trombly's farm, Ingraham, in the town of Chazy. On Route 9. Let's see, I don't know. That's where we've been. And this is where we're going. I don't know if we're halfway through yet. This is an A, Model A, or A. Looks like that wheel has had a little bit of problems. Another rusty one full of dust. Never did like these type of tires here. Some are the dual front, like here. This is just a single front. Let's say as dangerous as the dual fronts are, this one here is even more dangerous. Rust with a little bit of green. This one's definitely not operable. Looks like the battery's gone. Well, it looks like a new spark plug, so maybe with the battery it is operable. I can't imagine buying all the batteries for 123 tractors. So maybe you just take a battery and move it from one vehicle to the next. There's a model, again an A, I'm not sure if it's called a model. It sounds too much like a car. A John Deere A. This one's got nice big wide wheels on the front. Much safer. Don't see a numerical listing on it. If I was done trying to get at the radiator. So if you stop in here, you don't have to take as long as we do. Just walk by when you find one that you think is interesting. Stop and peruse it. Again, I don't think you should be climbing on the tractors. Particularly, you don't let the kids climb on them. But Marsha did say, when you put a display like this out, you expect that some folks will want to stop and take a look. We had heard somebody had mentioned it, then started to see pictures on Facebook. I think last post I saw was from a neighbor to our south here, Cindy Jensen Bruno, I think. Put some photos out. I would guess there's probably not very many, if any, but there might be some. Collections this large anywhere else in the country. There certainly cannot be too many that have this type of huge collection. It's going to take me half an hour just to walk back to my car when I leave here. I have to call an Uber driver to give me a lift back. This one looks like it's freshly painted. Now they need to get the logos out. Get the John Deere written on there. The rusty one looks like it's a 520. John Deere 520. I would think this is from the 60s. Certainly late 50s, if not 60s. Got the fancy John Deere on it here, not just the painting. It's a big tractor here. Got some other big ones coming up too. powerful beasts for their time periods. A model 70 diesel. The big one that's quite rusty at the moment. (1957) 720. Well, some of us were drooling over 1957 Chevys. The farmers were drooling over this. Here's a 630. Again, proudly exclaiming power steering. And it's right next to a pair of 730 diesels with power steering. This one here is in well painted condition. I think it's ready to go out and do a day's work. But it still had that narrow wheeled front end. But next to it we got a wide wheeled front end. And it's another 730 diesel. Very well painted. And again, we want to apologize for the camera movement. Moving as slow and deliberate as we can. But with 123 tractors to look at, we can't stand still very long. Here's a 1948D. Huge tires on the side, looks like they're 18 to 20 inches wide. 1948D. And a John Deere diesel, it's an R. The green is faded. Some places it's not John Deere green. Looks like they covered up the rust spots with some blue paint. Whoever had it covered it with whatever paint they had on hand. There's another R. It's in a little bit better shape here physically. Certainly looks sharp, all painted up. That's a diesel. And we got another diesel here, but we don't see a model number on it. Wouldn't surprise me to learn that it's an R. Like they ran into something here. The radiator is far enough back that no damage to the radiator. '820 model. really huge tire, at least 2 feet or more wide. An 820. And I don't have a model number on this, but it does have power steering. Huge tires in the back. Got some chrome up there. I don't think that was part of the original package right there, that chrome. There's a 1010. As Marsha said, there's no particular rhyme or reason for them, just as they unloaded their barns, you store them as best you can to fit everything in. So they didn't bring them out, put them in a holding area, then take them from there. They brought them out from the barns, the storage barns out here. Another 1010. And we saw in the distance Marsha's mother, Pat, formerly from Rouse's Point, Pat Blair, now for most of her life, Pat Stunsey. And a proud St. Mary's graduate, as am I. 2010 John Deere. Got some holes in the front grille here. Moths, maybe. We are making progress. We're getting further and further from the barn. Getting closer to the Reynolds Road. A 2510 diesel. And the tractors are spaced out 10 feet apart. Not from tire to tire, but from far side to one starting point to the next starting point is 10 feet. A 3010. If they manage to keep these out here till harvest day, which is usually the middle of the latter part of October, I'm sure they'll be very, very popular with the Champlain Valley Antique Gas Engine and Tractor Club. Another 3010. They have their plow day right across the road here in Ingraham. Across as part of the Tony and Marsha Trombly farm. $30.20 diesel, and this one's got a roof. Again, Bob Venn and I were here in, I believe, 1992. Tony and Marsha were here. Their 4 kids were crawling all over the tractors. And Bob, who sunburned very easily, One of the reasons he didn't like farming was no protection from the sun on the tractors. So he'd go out there and doing his work with a wide brim cap and long sleeves. This is definitely a diesel, looking at that. 410, nice shape, very nicely painted. Next to another 410. This one's got the lights. This other one has just single lights here. This one has dual lights on each side. So you could work longer into the night. Another tire with wrapper still on it, the paper still on it. Low cost. Coming up here, relatively speaking. You see our shows we do every year with building farm equipment. The new tractors are monsters. Double batteries, 2 batteries on this. $45.20 diesel. Another one with a roof on it. Keep the rain off here. Keep the noonday sun. Complete sun protector by any means. Keep the rain off the head, maybe a little bit of shade. 46.20 diesel. This is a 3-stepper here. And they have long legs here, so got the weights in the front. Give a little more traction. These are weights here that give it some extra weight. You often see the weights on tires too. Added there for traction. Here's a 50/20. Huge tires. Looks like there might be some kind of weights on the inside of the tires there. Or just could be part of the rim. And finally, a 720 diesel. This is when they started getting into the really big stuff. It's got an enclosed cab. Modern tractors have air conditioners, you get radios, you got GPS systems when they're out there harvesting or plowing or working the field. They can tell exactly where they are, whether they're spraying, they know exactly where they are. So they map it all out. They can tell precisely where they are with their GPS system. And that's it. I don't know why you can't fill up the next 300 feet here, but I'll have to get busy and get some more. So if you expect me to take a look at them on the way back, I will, but only when I'm walking by. No camera running. So that'll wrap up our 2019 visit to John Deere Hill. The John Deere tractor collection of Tony and Marsha Trombly here in Ingraham, part of town of Chazy. On Route 9, probably less than a mile from the Beekman town line. I want to thank you for watching and supporting viewer-supported local television, Hometown Cable. And we want to thank Tony and Marsha for allowing us to take this tour. And again, if you're driving by, as long as you use caution, you're allowed to stop in and take a close-up look. Just don't climb on the vehicles, please. Again, thank you for watching and supporting viewer-supported local television, Hometown Cable TV. We think is worthy of your support.